benchmarking piece of this. Basically what we're looking at right now, and I realize you've been sort of out of the loop for a little bit here. What we're looking to do is part of our we're going to modify our recommendations somewhat for the final report to suggest that one choice as a first step towards what we hope that they'll get is to create a unit and a position within city government specifically dedicated to the creation and coordination of municipal broadband in the city. So what we're looking at now, the benchmarking piece of this will be to look at try and find communities that have taken that sort of approach. Did they create a coordinating title within their, we'll say within their city government or town government? What did that look like? What were the resources involved? If we can find out what they're being paid, that would be good too. Any data that we can find that would help us add some structure to the recommendation itself. Diana's team is going to work on an ideal model that incorporates that. Martin's team is going to look at the costs and the next step cost-wise of how that might work. And then working with Jeff, we're going to look at how the community partnerships piece can be built into that as well. I did want to wait a little bit for him to log in on that. I spoke to him this afternoon, and I know that he's planning to be here based on that. I just hope that nothing occurred between then and now, because he's had a lot going on. And one thought was, and this is an article that I'll send along to him and to the entire group. There have been a couple reports in the smart cities research that have looked at creating what are called basically community-based collaboration councils or boards. So what they do is you have a person within city government that acts as the chair of the coordinating person. And they partner with private sector, nonprofit, and academic resources to form a board that brings different skills to bear to develop the technology needs for the community itself. If we take an approach like that, think of it as a version of the water board for the water department, board of zoning appeals, a thing like that. But it's who comes from the private sector, the library, the schools, and all this, to bring all of their resources to bear, coordinated by the city's broadband coordinator. They'd be in more of an advisory role, but the city would still control the process itself. So we'd have to talk about it more. There are some models for it. It's been very successful, and it might be a way for us to go here. But sort of building the structure we talked about in the first report without committing to the cost of creating our own network internally, if that makes sense. And leveraging the knowledge and resources from within the community itself to begin the long-term process of of getting real buy-in for a community broadband for a community broadband network itself. Oh, looks like Jeff's logging in. Jeff, welcome.
Hey, Craig. Hey, everyone.
Hey, everybody. All right. So I was just telling the guys, I got an email from Diana saying that she's still on the road back from work travel. She'll try to call in. I got that from her about an hour ago, about an hour and 20 minutes ago. So we'll proceed, and if she's able to join us, that's great. If not, Jeff, what I was just talking about with Martin and Josh and Jess was a little bit about what we talked about this afternoon when I was telling you about the smart cities approach, the for the community collaborations board.
Great. Yep.
And I'm saying that I think that Martin said that the city of Syracuse apparently has been pursuing the same kind of effort, same kind of approach that we have here, and they're sort of up and running at this point. Martin, is that what you're telling me?
They're very close to it. Basically, from I've looked into, like, I'm just basing this off of like a TV report I just watched, but
Sure.
Apparently they have already put out an RFQ and have received feedback from it. Right. And the city is basically using some of their American Rescue Plan funds to fund this effort, and they're looking to basically identify about 2,500 households, particularly in low-income neighborhoods with low internet connectivity, as a basis to start this operation.
Sure.
And the thing is that they've also put in there, the thing is that they've designed it so that the city is more, it's probably going to be akin to a public-private partnership,
right?
Which the city did include in their RFQ that they would like to develop something that can eventually be scalable, that it could actually grow to expand. So
that makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense. So yeah, so if we look at that, so what then when I was talking to Josh was that the benchmarking piece of this will be to look at, certainly starting with Syracuse, cities like that have started this approach to have an internal title within city government or town government, where they have a coordinating person for these efforts dedicated to it, so that we can sort of build out that recommendation for the final report and what that might look like. We can get on that, and then I know that Diana and her team we're going to work on their version of the ideal model that builds in that approach. So we have a scalable solution as well, which I think is critical, and at the same time does really draw upon the resources within the community itself to provide the knowledge, the expertise, and to an extent that we can, the access to existing networks within the city that could be made part of this first step towards a real broadband network within the city. Does anyone have any thoughts on that? Questions, concerns?
I think that sounds great. I think those are really good paths for us to explore.
Okay.
I'm gonna be a little because it's budget season.
Right.
It's tough for me to.
Well, I think I think we have some flexibility on that, because this is going to be going. Benchmarking piece will be going on. We'll do what we can. Diana's team needs to do a bit of looking too. I think it'll start to come together. Budget season, knock on wood, gosh, and gosh, I hope so. Does finish up, if not on time, close to on time. That would be really nice. That may be a pie in the sky hope, given what I've been hearing this year, but we'll see. And then hopefully after that, the people that are involved in that process, and there's a few of us on here that are, will have a little more time to look at these pieces, to look at this stuff.
Yeah.
Ideally, I would love if the budget has the courtesy to get the heck out of our way, to really start bringing this together bring the pieces together around beginning of May-ish, so that we start to do some drafting, start to do some looking, and start to do some do some laying out. I think that would keep us on track for an end of June delivery of the report. And I do expect we'll be doing some tweaking during May and into early June. The other thing which I wanted to bring up, we have a request from a group called Insight that apparently has been working with the county on their commission's version of what's going on. And they would like to come and make a little presentation to us, probably about 20 minutes at a meeting. I was thinking next month's meeting, if that makes sense to people. But I do want us to actually have a good turnout, because if they're taking the time, and these people are paid for this, not by us, we don't want to waste their time. Basically, they're talking about the kind of support services that they can provide from a research point of view. I did explain to them we have no authority to hire anybody. We're purely here for the research and recommendation portion of this. He said he understood that. Let me just bring up here. That was Sean Greenberg. He's with a firm called Insight Public Sector. And he's willing to come in and talk to us. If that appeals to all of you. I said I would have to check with you, because it's a group decision. And if you agree, we'll look to reach out to him. And Jess, I'll send you what I'll do is I'll send you his information and CC him at the same time, saying, let's coordinate this for the upcoming meeting. All right. So Josh, you're on board. Martin, you're on board.
Yeah.
Okay, Jeff, you're on board.
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay. All right, Jess, I'll send that to you by the end of this meeting. All
Okay,
right.
sounds good. And our next meeting is April 12th.
April 12th. Perfect. Let's be sure that works for him. If it doesn't, we'll work out a day, for May. But I think that he'll probably be pretty flexible about it. Those were the main things that I had as far as upcoming events. Oh, yes, that was the other. And I just sent Jess a thing about, and I know that Josh, you and Martin heard this. Jeff, I think you came in after we were talking about it. The library, though we talked about it a little bit earlier. The say the Friends of the Library is putting on an event next week on March 30th from 10 to 12 a.m. It's an in-person or by Zoom event, and Jess will send out the link to us all via email if you'd like to sign up for it. Basically, it's the Capital Region Internet and digital equity summit. They're trying to bring together as many different resources from within the community itself to talk about the topic, and certainly broadband in the city of Albany is a big part of that. So I think it would be both beneficial and a fitting show of support for any of us that can attend for even part of the session to do so. I realize it's during the day, people and folks work. That's the only concern that I had about it. I am planning to attend. I've got the time free during that time of the day, that particular day. So if you can, great. If not, I'll certainly fill the group in on anything that comes out of that session. And I would expect they'll probably be filming it, and it'll be available on YouTube as well. And if it is, I'll see if I can get the link to it, and we'll share that as well.
Yeah, if it's on Zoom, I think I should be able to attend.
Yeah, I mean, you don't have to necessarily speak. You can if you want to, but just put it on Zoom, put it on mute, and then listen.
Right.
But it sounds like it should be a very intriguing session. Like I said, my only thing with them was I said, well, it's a weekday and it's during the day, and our people work, but I'll see what I can do. My hope is that they'll agree to do more sessions like that, depending on how this one goes, because they are planning to push a broadband and digital equity campaign throughout the city, which I think would be very good for us. And when we are looking at feedback on the report, we could team up with them to help get that out there. So again, one more group that we could partner up with as part of this effort. All right. Does anyone else have anything that they'd like to bring up at this time? Martin? Josh?
I have nothing in particular and stuff. I
Okay.
mean, if anybody has any comments on like what I've written and stuff, or like, and further direction I should, look at and stuff, definitely like send me feedback.
Yeah, I expect that I'll send something to you probably by end of day Friday.
Okay, yeah, that
I
works.
I want to do a little more work on it, but I liked what I saw.
Okay.
I definitely agreed with what Day was saying. But I want to just dig into that a little bit. And Friday's going to have the time to do some writing up, so I'll get that to you. Jeff, do you have anything that you wanted to add?
No, I think I'm all set for now, Craig. Thank you for identifying some of those groups that can help inform our discussion, specifically with the partnership portion.
Sure. All right. If there's nothing further, it's 6:23. I'm going to make the call that Diana probably isn't able to log in by phone. And as we cannot formally take a vote, because officially, if we do that, we can't meet by Zoom, according to Jess. If no one objects, we will call this an end to the meeting. Does that make sense to people? Okay.
Makes sense to me.
Okay. All right. Thanks so much, folks. And we'll see what we can put together for the upcoming meetings. Jess, I'll send you that email from Sean now.
Okay.
And if you could just send that email with the link to the event, because people do have to sign up through Eventbrite to attend the event. That would be a help.
Okay.
All righty. Thanks, folks, and I'll see you soon.
Thank you.
Thanks,
See
Craig.
you.